Hello and welcome to part 3 of how to use AutoDrive. So if you haven't watched the first 2 episodes, I definitely recommend going doing that. The first episode I did was the basic controls and how to set up a basic route. And the second episode I did was about corner apexes, or the right corner, recording the right corners with a trailer on or something like that. Just making it a little bit more sophisticated so you don't have any issues when pulling out with a big trailer, and you can obviously be confident that when you set something to go somewhere, it's going to work perfectly. So in this episode, what I'm going to be showing you is how to do sell points, how to set up basically like a loop if you want to go and sell grain from your silo to a sell point using AutoDrive. We'll be using reverse triggers as well, so we'll be reversing into a trigger. Hopefully it'll work a treat. So I have set up a little bit of the route where we're going to go to, just because I think it was a lot easier to set that up prior. So what I'm actually going to do is just show you the silo, setting up the silo, so the fill point, and then where we sell it to, so the store or the sell point trigger. We're going to be using a bit of reverse as well, just because I think it's easy to do. And I'll show you along the way what I have done, but everything that I've done prior to this video to set up, I would have shown you how to do it in the first 2 episodes. So I have obviously done some of the corners here, coming in and out, going that direction, because that's where we're going to go. This route in the middle here, I've done 2-way direction just because it's a narrow lane, so there's no point in doing 2 there. But I have set up some corners going up to the sell point. So where we're going to go is this Blacker Hall stores, and we're going to obviously come up from the farm, go this direction down here, and then we'll set up a sell point. And then what we'll do is we'll do a little loop. I'll show you in full and you can see how it works. Right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to need to set up the fill point from the silo. Now there is 2 triggers on this silo. There's obviously the trigger here to fill the silo, and then there's this trigger there just on the outside of it to obviously unload from the silo. So we need the unload one, so I'm going to just quickly do that first. So obviously what I want to do is link up to the most appropriate already road that I've done, or the route that I've done. We're going to go to here. I'm going to start recording. That's a little bit off, so we're just going to straighten it up a bit. And what we're going to do is just going to naturally drive probably under this trigger, which is probably about here. You always want to go a little bit more forward, so the next point that I see, it should be soon, there you go, that's where I'm going to put my waypoint. So I'm going to call it silo fill. Job done. I can still hit the trigger, which is fine. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a loop so I can turn back round and connect to the course that I've already got going out of the farm. You always want to make wide corners like I showed you before, just because you don't know what you're going to be carting around at the time. You might have even bigger trailer than this. It might be something really small and it won't matter, but as long as you cover all possibilities, then you shouldn't have any issues. And then all I need to do now is just link these back up. So I'm going to stop recording, probably straighten that up a little bit, click that so it goes green, left click that one, and then link together. So now we've done that. Dead simple, especially when you can drive straight through like that. That'd be a little bit more tricky. We'd have to do a reversing maneuver, but what I'll do is I'll show you at the sell point actually how I do that as a reverse on a sell point. So we're going to drive up now to the sell point first, and we're going to go and set that up, and along the way you'll be able to see the route that I've already prepared to get there. So I've done this little turn here. I've not done the other side, I've just done the turns going to the left, so coming in and going out. In the last episode you saw me do all these turning apexes, and then pretty much all I've done is a straight road all the way up, going there and coming back. So the sell point's actually not a bad one. You can get some really tricky ones, but the same will apply for all sell points if you're reversing into it because it's like really confined, or if it's, you know, an easy one that you can drive all the way through it. But what I'll show you with this one is how to do a reverse. I think it'd be a lot easier. Now it might be tricky because of that barrier, but with this we will turn collision detection on, and it should by the time sense that. It might stop, wait for the barrier to come up and then carry on. Here's hoping anyway. So again, I need to link up. I'm going to start recording. We're going to do this sell point. You probably could go straight on with some trailers on that one and then just do a loop round, but we're not going to do that. We're going to make it a little bit more difficult just to show you reversing into a trigger as well, and show you how to do that. So red line's pointing to where I want to start from, which is fine. Click record. I'm going to drive. This barrier's going to lift up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give myself a nice easy reverse on this one. You could do it from an angle. If it's, like I said, if it's tight, confined sell point, you've just got to assess the area that you're going into and then make your maneuver. I always recommend when you're reversing to give yourself a good space to straighten up the trailer you're in. So like this is probably a little bit more than what I would like, but that should be perfect. If you've got a small trailer, it would straighten up a lot sooner than that, but you always want to play it safe and just do that. So what I've done now is I've automatically just started reversing like you normally would, and the AutoDrive has detected that I'm reversing, and the blue line that you can see now is a reverse maneuver. So I'm just pretty much going to reverse in to this sell point. Now the waypoint, as you've noticed, is no longer the front of my tractor, it's the rear of my trailer. So you need to keep that in mind, and you don't want to obviously put your waypoint in, for example, here, because you might have a small trailer and it might not be over the trigger. So what I always tend to do is go right to the back, about there, and stop. That's perfect. It covers the whole of the sell point now, and it depends. Like I might have a tiny trailer, I might have a massive trailer, and if you do that, you'll definitely be guaranteed to be in the trigger at some point. So what I want to do now is I'm not going to make my waypoint yet. I never like to do that first. I like to complete the course first, the route that I'm doing. So I'm going to drive straight back out, and it will automatically detect that I'm not reversing anymore. Doesn't matter if you drive through current waypoints that you've done, as long as they don't connect, which they won't do. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to link it back up to this point. It should be fine there. So we need to stop recording. Left click again, it will go green. Left click to where you want to connect it to, and you'll see the line pop up. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make the actual waypoint to tell it that this is a sell point that I'm going to sell at. And the easiest way to do that is to just drive forward to the last point, get the red line that you can see ping into the closest point each time. We want that right at the end, because even if the trigger's before it, it will carry on reverse and then just go back forward and carry on the route. So it's always the best thing to do, I find, to do it like this. This is just my preference. You might find it better a different way. You might see some of the tutorials out on YouTube that show you differently, but this is my preference. This is why I've found it be a lot easier, and it means that I have to tinker with it less in the end. It just seems to work for me. So I'm going to click the waypoint button. It's pinned to this one. That's where it's pinged at. We're going to call this, we're just going to call it sell point, because you would obviously call it its real name and all that, but for the purpose of this video, we're just going to call it sell point. So now what we've done is we've got the course all set up. So technically what should happen now is it should automatically, if we tell it to, go and pick up from the silo and sell at this sell point. But there's only one way to find that out, and it's to test it. Now we might find some small little tinkering issues. If we do, we'll tinker it, we'll fix it. If not, then it's worked perfectly first time. If it does work perfectly first time, that doesn't mean it might work for you. You might have a different sell point, like I said, confined area. But if you just maneuver stuff around like you would, make your waypoints a little bit smaller, anything you need to do to make it work for you. So I'm going to go to this waypoint here. I'm going to change this setting to pick up and deliver. We're going to pick up from the silo fill. We're going to take it to the sell point. So that's what this means. This is where you want to load from. This is where you want to unload from. And this is the type that you want to obviously pick up. Now I've put a load of wheat in the silo just for the purpose of this episode. But we're not just going to do it the once. We have got enough grain to probably do it several times. So I'm going to tell it that I want to loop twice. So we're clicking this one twice. It's now going to loop twice, and then it will finish. You can leave the editing mode on if you want to look at your course. I do recommend it when the first time you're testing out to do that. But if you obviously want a little bit of realism, you want it to look good, you turn that off. so it looks better. So we'll test it out, we'll see how it performs, we'll set it going. See, it's telling me it's doing its first one. It knows where it's going, it knows where it's selling to, it knows what it's picking up. So we'll just sit with it and see how it does. If it needs any tinkering, we'll do that along the way. What I might quickly do though is I'll change the settings here, collision detection to on. I might change the coordinate speed, just put that down a bit, because when it's going to have a full trailer of grain, it will be prone to tip. And I think everything else should be fine, so we're just going to apply them settings. And as you notice, then he instantly slowed down. Probably should get a better camera angle. So he's following all the turn apexes that I did in the previous episode, which is good. And you can see by doing that, his trailer, it's a lot more suited to when you've got a big trailer on like this. Right, so the first test for him is obviously to go under the trigger to fill up from the silo. Might take him a little bit of time, but he'll do it in the end. So he's obviously hit the trigger, which is good. So what's happened here is it hasn't actually got enough grain in the silo, which is strange because it did spawn some in, as you can see. There's a hell of a lot in there. So I don't know why that is. So normally that would work perfectly. Obviously if you've got the grain in the silo, it's going to pick it up. So what I'll quickly just do is we'll find a way to get that grain back in there. Okay, so I've done that. I've filled up the silo with 2 trailer loads of wheat, so we should be good to go. So we'll set him going again. Technically he's continuing from his previous... Let's just stop that because I think I've set that wrong. There we go. Yeah, so he's going to continue off from where I obviously stopped off last time. He's going to fill up this time, maximum, because he's got enough grain to actually fill up the trailer. AutoDrive is actually pretty clever. You don't have to obviously tell it where the triggers are. It automatically detects a trigger. If it sees that there's wheat in the silo, it'll fill up the trailer from that trigger. Same for when you go to sell points. It detects that there's a trigger there. If you drive over it, you don't have to say this is a trigger. It's pretty clever like that. So as long as you set up the routes properly, give it waypoints telling it where to go. Without the waypoints, obviously, it doesn't know where it's going. But it is pretty simple. It's actually really clever, and as soon as you get the hang of it, which it doesn't take that long to do, you'll find that you're probably not going to be playing Farming Simulator 19 on the PC without it. So we'll sit with it and watch it do its first load. But after that, I'll put the second one on a time lapse so you can just see it as well. And then I think you'll have all the knowledge then to go ahead and make your own routes, sell your own grain, do the right corners. So again, this will be a good point to see with the trailer as it turns. That's why you want to go wide with a bigger trailer. You probably do it naturally when you're playing the game and you're driving yourself. But it does take longest, but if you think you're going to cut corners by just doing like a T-junction there, literal T-junction two-way, you're probably going to have issues along the route, maybe collisions. If you do put collision detection on as well, you can actually, I find that you can actually have traffic on at the same time, but collisions will still happen usually, even if you've got collision detection on, and what you'll find is it'll stop for no reason because it thinks it's going to collide in something that it won't do. But it'll be good to use it for this time because of the barrier. We need it to stop for the barrier, and then as soon as the barrier is raised, it hopefully shouldn't see that as a collision. If it does, then there's 2 things you can do. You can turn collision detection off, but it might hit the barrier, or you can go into the TridentZ editor and remove the barrier completely. So it can be done. So he's coming up to his first waypoint. He's also coming up to this barrier. Worked a treat. Didn't have any issues. At one point then I thought he wasn't going to stop. So what we want him to do is straighten up the trailer. I'll turn the cornering speed down, which will make it a little bit easier for him as he's turning. Again, you might think I've gone too far. You can't really go too far. He's noticed that he's straightened up anyway and he'll carry on. It's always better to make it further. Like you saw there, it's pretty clever. It knows that it's going to reverse. As soon as it's straight, it starts reversing. Now, you'll probably find that he hits the trigger about now, so he'll stop. Sell all the grain. As you see, the money's going up, which is good. And what you'll find is he might go straight. Sometimes he goes straight, or most of the time he actually reverses a little bit more, so he hits the waypoint, and then you'll see him start doing his second loop of picking up and selling. So we'll just wait to see what he decides to do now that he's sold. It does take a few seconds. There you go. So he obviously was pathfinding there, was working, thinking out what should I do. He's reversed all the way back to the waypoint. He knows that's where he was supposed to go, and now he's just going to carry on and do his second loop. So as you can see, it's working a treat. So what I'll do is I'll put this second one on a little bit of a time lapse so you can see it in action.
Don't wanna play games out with the moves, don't wanna meditate, girl, with you it's hard. Fill in the blanks, text me back, throw me a kiss instead of them tricks. Don't make it hard. I wanna celebrate, you know, our togetherness, both mind and flesh. Only we know how it goes. We know how it goes. Our togetherness, both mind and flesh. We know how it goes. Way down low. I don't wanna push and pull, girl. Come on, follow me once. Oh, I don't play rough. You got me around your little pinky, and nothing to ask, nothing. Damn, this crush is hard. I wanna celebrate, you know, our togetherness, both mind and flesh. Only we know how it goes. We know how it goes. Our togetherness, both mind and flesh.
Right, so as you can tell, he's done his 2 loops. He's all happy, reversing. He'll probably go back to the first destination that we set him off to. You can set him up to do that, or you can set him up to park at the finish of the job. Just go into your settings and he'll quickly just do that for you, so that's not an issue. It's just a preference thing. But as you can tell, it's really good AutoDrive is. You can be doing, say, some farming, some cultivating, some field work. At the same time, you can be selling grain and using AutoDrive, and obviously if you pay a wage, it's kind of realistic, and I couldn't now go without AutoDrive, so happy days really. Hopefully you found it useful, hopefully it's helped you out, and you can go try it out for yourself now. If you've got any ideas or tips, make it even better, put them in the comment section, let everyone else see them so they can try them out themselves. But if you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up, and also if you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more videos on Farming Simulator. See ya.